Fools fool you, so do you, and lose dudes that want you to lose. So X can use you as a stat, but they have been wrong. You are not defined by just your skin tone.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade, and today we're going to talk about WWE Dynamite from June 30th, 2021, the Back to Wednesdays edition of Dynamite. So, we started the show with something I forgot already. It was nothing important. Anyway, this was the last episode in Daly's Place, so it had a special vibe to it. So the first match, Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo defeated the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have transitioned to porn star goatees and one of them has a mustache. The other one has like a porn star goatee. They're both of them look like they're drawing on with Sharpies. Neither one of them they still don't like adults. Even with these mustaches and beards, they still don't like adults. The finish came with Cutler spraying, I think it was, I don't remember which Jackson it was, with the whatever spray he's using. And there's no reason for him to have spray. We're not told at all that spray has anything to do with their gimmick. You know, at least when Rick Martel was doing it, there was a reason. He was a model, and therefore he modeled different things. And he had fragrance, which was the perfume or whatever, the cologne, and that allowed him to just have something to cheat with. These guys just randomly have hair sheen with them at all times, like bottles and bottles of hair sheen. I don't get it. I don't understand why. Anyway, the finish was absolutely ridiculous. You got a package pile driver, of which a guy stood back up just so he can get hit with the spinning back fist. Instead of going the other way, which is the spinning back fist knocks the guy down or knocks him into position for a package pile driver. They did it the other way around, so it looked more cartoonish. So it absolutely looked stupid. But the Young Bucks lost. They got pinned for the first time, and they said the first time in over a year. This was actually kind of meaningful because it was AEW very rarely beats their champions. I'm sorry, WWE Dynamite barely beats their champions. So it says a lot when you rarely beat your champions and then you finally do. Then it kind of means something. But they didn't really have much of a choice, considering there's no top contenders as far as tag teams are concerned. So they took the L. The Young Bucks did. All right. So next week there will be Penta El Zero Miedo and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks in a tag team championship match. And, okay. Maybe AEW would actually put on a show next week. All right, so Christian is talking for Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is just standing around, tying his boots or whatever. And Christian is talking about how he's proud of Jungle Boy and he stood toe-to-toe with the world champion. But he doesn't believe in losing. He believes you win or you learn. And tonight is his chance to be the first wrestler to make 50 wins. And Luchasaurus appears and says something to the effect of that he thanks Christian for having Jungle Boy's back while he was gone. And Christian jokes about being part dinosaur. And, of course, Luchasaurus plays into it because this is all a joke. This is all stupid. This is quite stupid. Look, Christian hanging out with Jungle Boy could be cool. Christian hanging out with the dinosaurs, I'm just not. And Marco Stunt, nah, man. No, it's not good. It sucks. But also, I think it sucks that Jungle Boy doesn't talk for himself. You know, I think there's something to be said about being enigmatic and not talking that much. But at the same time, when it comes out, and because there's no kayfabe anymore, when it comes out that you're deathly afraid of cutting promos, and then suddenly you have this guy talking for you, I mean, it's like, nah, man. You have to speak for yourself. If he's going to be a top guy, you need to force him to talk, you know? And that's what WWE would do. They would force him to talk, and if he sucked, he'd go to the back of the line until he learned. You know, I know AEW is trying to be like, oh, everybody can be a star, man. We're gonna play to their strengths. It's like, it becomes more and more obvious the more you try to avoid it. The more you avoid a thing, the more obvious it is. You know, like when Goldberg has a 2-minute match, it becomes obvious he can't have a 10-minute one. When this guy can't cut a promo and somebody always interrupting him or somebody's always talking about him around him or whatever, it becomes painfully obvious that he can't talk. And it doesn't make people want to hear what he has to say. It makes people lose interest in him and maintain interest in the person who's talking. He doesn't have the physique or the size of like a Brock Lesnar, where Brock can just stand still and he's a human mountain of muscle. He doesn't really need to do much. Jungle Boy is 5'8", maybe 5'7", maybe. He disappears if somebody is bigger than he is and can talk. So you need to do something so that he'll stand out and not just be a guy standing there while somebody else talks. All right. He did defeat Jack Evans in a match that was pretty sloppy because that's Jack Evans. He defeated him with the snare trap afterwards. Well, before the match, Matt Hardy had a promo. He says he wants to send Christian home forever, and Jungle Boy got in the way. He doesn't care if Jack Evans wins or loses, but wanted to Jungle Boy to get hurt. And I'm pretty sure that did happen. Anyway, after the match, Jericho yelled about Jungle Boy having 50 wins and being 50-0. He's 50-0. And he's like, of course he's not 50-0. I mean, but he's got 50 wins. It's like Mayweather. I'm like, what is going on? What are you talking about? I get it. He's the first AEW wrestler to get 50 wins. But how many of those wins actually matter? Good question. Anyway, Hardy and his crew attacked them post-match. Then Christian came out there to help them fight them off. All right. I don't like this. Is very low card for Christian. You know, I would think that he would be featured a little bit better than this, but who knows and who cares? Ethan Page and Tony Schiavone did a segment where Ethan Page says that he hasn't done enough. His goal is to exterminate Darby Allin and wants to cripple him. Then he talks about how he did all these things to Darby Allin. He threw him into the crowd, threw him down the steps. He kept coming back. On the independent, he busted his head and busted his elbow. He kept coming back. Now he's going to cripple him. And then he says that every time you do a coffin drop, anytime you think about doing a coffin drop, you're going to think of me. And here's the interesting thing about that. And I wouldn't normally nitpick this, but you have to consider that he wants to cripple the guy. But he also just kind of admits, you're going to wrestle matches after this match. You know, like you're gonna still be doing coffin drops after I wrestle you. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to put you in the ground. This coffin drop is going to be your last coffin drop. That's it for you, buddy. It's no. It's like, yeah, I'm going to win the match by putting you in a coffin. And then at some point in the future, when you do a coffin drop, you're going to remember that you lost to me. It's like, nah, not good. I thought you wanted to exterminate him. You know? I thought you wanted to cripple him. There shouldn't be any more matches. You should say this is going to be your last match. This is going to be it for you, buddy. Whatever. Sting drags a coffin to the ring. JR exposes that the coffin is on wheels. Which maybe they didn't want us to know, but it seemed pretty obvious. So maybe JR didn't really bother anything. There was a short video of Darby lighting a casket on fire. I don't see what that was about. Then Sting unveiled the casket and Darby jumped out of it and attacked Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky like a little chihuahua biting at your ankles. Sting dropped Scorpio Sky with the Scorpion Death Drop. Then he raked while Darby Allin raked at the eyes of Ethan Page. I think he had like fingernails on or something like that, press-on nails or something going on with his hands. When he was raking at the eyes of Ethan Page, he was really selling it. Ethan Page gets away from him and then says that the match that was supposed to take place at Road Rager, Jesus, is going to be called off because he wants on paper that Darby Allin can never touch him a week before the match. So he's gone from psycho, I'm going to kill you heel, to cowardly heel in less than 10 minutes. He slid back into a completely different role, like literally 3 or 4 minutes later. Weird. But, I mean, this is typical heel stuff, not wanting that no contact rule. wanting to be protected and all that kind of stuff, sure. But you have the audacity to say you want to exterminate the guy, you know. But so I'm guessing they're going to push the match back to Fyter Fest because that's what they said. But I just wrote a gigantic question mark. I was just kind of like, why? You know, I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. MJF cut a promo, said that he out-wrestled Jericho, outclassed Jericho, and Jericho decided to turn AEW into Looney Tunes. They said he was a joke. He used to be a wrestling genius, but this is the best you got. But he said, since you want one more match, I'll give you my stipulation, and we'll see. Then he told Guevara that, you know, hey, there's the question of who is going to be the future, you or me, but I'm the now, and I'm better than you now, and you know it, or something like that. Whatever. Let's go straight to the main event. MJF versus Sammy Guevara. And these guys, it was part good match, part shenanigans, parts AEW buttfuckery. So it's like building the Powerpuff Girls. You know, you had one part pretty solid wrestling match, 2 parts AEW buttfuckery, and the third part was no doubt shenanigans. Right? Shenanigans meaning top rope tombstone power driver. You know, we're going to do a Canadian destroyer into a 2 count. Top rope tombstone power driver for a 2 count. The helo into the crowd was cool, you know, except for they were outside the ring forever and they should have been counted out, you know, but they were just out there and the referee's just like, oh, take your time, you know, this match is no count out apparently. So the good wrestling match dissolved into nonsense because they can't keep anything steady around here. And then they started getting all the run-ins. So the big run-in was Wardlow grabbing Jericho from commentary and throwing him off the stage, which, you know, everybody's like, oh. And then while everybody is distracted by that, Shawn Spears hits Sammy Guevara over the head with a chair because this guy got a chair fetish, and that led to the pin. And MJF wins. I hated the finish. Absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated the finish. MJF should have won the match clean. MJF should have won clean. And if they would have cut out the Tombstone, the Canadian Destroyer, and worked a straight up match, I think this match would have been so much better. And cut out, of course, the interference. If you want to try, like I said this before, every time you try to protect somebody, most of the time you make them look worse. In this instance, they went through all the trouble of trying to protect Sammy Guevara with all the interference and all of the chair shots and all this shit. And in the long term, this didn't do him any favors. You know, it made the Inner Circle look stupid because they just got beat up. You know, so whatever. I'm tired of this Inner Circle Pinnacle thing. I'm tired of it. When they rushed, they should never have rushed the steel cage match, the War Games. When they rushed the War Games match, this feud went into the toilet almost immediately afterwards. And it hasn't been the same since. There's been flashes of goodness here and there, but mostly they have shown that they blew their load and now they're pushing rope. They don't really have much left. But, you know, that's WWE Dynamite for you. So Andrade and Alex Marvez, or Alex Abrahantes, I'm sorry. And all Andrade really had to say is that he's going to make an example of Matt Sydal in Miami at Road Rager, which is next week. Tony Schiavone went to the ring to talk to Kenny Omega, who now also has different facial hair. And it's the Harley Race facial hair. The style Triple H picked up in the early to mid 2000s. That no hair on the chin thing is so weird. It doesn't look right on anybody except Harley Race. I'm just so used to saying Harley Race with it. Seeing anybody else with it is just, it gets me ugh. Anyway, he comes out there and says basically he beat everybody and there's no one left. He leaves the Dark Order to come out there and says that Evil Uno thinks differently. Omega, of course, disses the Dark Order because they suck. Made fun of Five and said that none of them are even close to wrestling him. And then Evil Uno had to admit that, yes, none of us individually have the win-loss record to challenge for the world title, but they know somebody who does. And so does Kenny Omega. And says that Kenny Omega says, well, if we're talking about the same guy, then he doesn't have the guts, and he doesn't have the right. He doesn't feel like he has the right to raise the world title, and he wouldn't want you speaking for him. Then he gave him the old good night, good luck, good bang, or whatever the fuck. Then later on, Hangman Page went to the Dark Order to read them the riot act for challenging Kenny Omega on his behalf. And then they said, we know you're not scared of him, and it's okay to lose. We'll always have your back, man. It's your time. You've waited long enough. Brother, look, I may be imbibing in too much toxic masculinity, but what the fuck is he doing there if he doesn't want to be the world champion? This is not the story you tell with a main event talent. He doesn't have the confidence to challenge for the world title. I mean, is he fucking Eugene? What is this? Why is this the storyline? For a guy, you're trying to get to be the top guy. You're not showing that he's a badass, that he's a tough guy. You're showing that he's a sponge. He's spongy. He's kind of like, yeah, I'm just perfectly fine showing up and winning matches with no direction. I'm not interested in being a world champion. What? This is the kind of, look, I know that this audience, they like certain kinds of things. And they like certain kinds of people. And I know that what they like and what I like are not going to be the same thing. I can appreciate that. But you have to say, full-grown adult men do not act this way. If you're in an endeavor of any kind, and if you're not there to be the best that you can possibly be, what are you doing there? If you don't have the spine, or you're a coward, or you lack confidence in an endeavor where you're supposed to exude confidence, what world champion has ever been this shy, mealy mouth? I don't really want to challenge for the title. Kind of like, what? Like what? Why would you ever do that? Who would think that's a good idea? This is not cowboy shit. I ain't never seen a mealy mouth cowboy. I've never seen this before. If you're going to call yourself a cowboy, don't be a rhinestone cowboy. Don't be like a cowboy like that. What's that? It's some cowboy now that he's, dressing like the Lone Ranger and dancing around in the field of flowers. The game ain't been the same for cowboys ever since Brokeback Mountain. Then all of a sudden, all these cowboys are just absolutely wusses. I am embarrassed by this. Where is his balls? Why are you making this kid look so stupid? This is insane that Jungle Boy, who is scared of cutting promos, has more balls than Adam Page, who was the guy who they've been saying, oh, he's going to be our top guy. They've been saying that before AEW was fully formed. He was going to be the top guy. And this is how you choose to present him? As somebody that's not cool? What is did you people watch wrestling? Like, what is this? I mean, okay. I think, now that as I talked, I think I do remember one. Mikey Whipwreck, who was the champion of ECW. He basically fell ass backwards into it. But at the same time, it was a known joke, and nobody ranks Mikey Whipwreck as being like a top guy in ECW. Especially since a few years later, he was doing opening match jobs. That's not how you push somebody that you want to be a star. You never push people this way. You should want your heroes to be people that other people want to be like. Not people who other people feel bad for. That doesn't make sense. Sympathy is fine up to a point. But even if you're getting sympathy like Ricky Morton, you still have to have that fire that shows that maybe I am down bad sometimes, but I come back on my own. He needs pep talks from his friends. He's a sad, drunken loser. This is embarrassing. Jesus H. Christ. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they're doing this to this guy. Man, he must have fucked somebody's wife. Had to touch somebody's girlfriend's boobs or something. He did something to somebody around there because they're protecting him as far as wins and losses are concerned. But what they're doing with his character is absolutely embarrassing. It is constantly with uh this low testosterone, confused shit. And I thought things were going to change when he broke that mirror and he got kicked out of the elite, and that he was going to become like a sawed-off badass after he hit rock bottom and got booted out of the elite. I thought that's what was going to happen. But ever since then, he's just been a happy drunk floating from place to place. Like, his confidence is shaken. It's like, come on, man. This is stupid. And they know this is stupid. They got to know it's stupid. If they don't know it's stupid, then they're stupid. Well, we already knew that. All right, so Brian Pillman versus Miro. Pillman says that Miro doesn't have his faith. Well, he doesn't have Miro's faith. But he does have teammates who want the best for him. And he's going to prove that Miro isn't God's favorite champion. He's just a Bulgarian bitch, because you got to have the word bitch. Then Brian Pillman was made Miro's bitch in this match. And Miro wins with the game over. This match was actually pretty solid. It was Brian Pillman Jr. can have a good match when he wants to. So this was pretty good. Miro is him doing this camel clutch and transferring it into some type of chokehold. I don't see the point of this. Why cut out the middleman and go straight to the chokehold if that's what you're going to do? Why do the camel clutch at all? If that's not going to be the submission, why go through it? Just grab him in a chokehold and choke him out. I mean, I don't know. Not exactly a dominant performance from Miro, but also not a performance that should have been embarrassed by. It was pretty good. I enjoy Brian Pillman's work still. He has very underneath babyface energy to him. He needs some experience working in the upper echelon and upper levels, but he's very good underneath babyface, and I really enjoyed seeing that. So the last thing to talk about, Team Taz, because there's that piece. Starks will wrestle Cage in 2 weeks for the FTW title. I'm guessing they're going to do a screw job here, and Starks, who is, quote, medically cleared, is probably not really medically cleared. And Team Taz is going to make a decision to kick Cage out. And therefore, they're probably going to jump Cage, take the FTW title off of him, and then he's going to feud with them, which is fine, I guess. But that's my guess of what's going to take place. Of course, I don't know for sure. But that seemed to make sense to me. I don't see why Ricky Starks needs to work a prolonged match. This doesn't need to be a match. And that's one thing that WWE does better than AEW. AEW thinks that everything should be a prolonged match. WWE will sometimes turn a match into an angle. They'll set up a match, but an angle will spin out of it. And that's really what they should do here. Instead of it being a real match, it should just be an angle where Cage, Russell, Starks, and Team Taz are around the ring. The first time Starks gets him in any type of submission hold or something like that, Taz throws in the towel. And then as Cage is complaining, they just jump in and beat the dog shit out of him. And that's it. And just screw him, get the FTW title off of him, and then we come back later and you save the real match for some other time. That would be a smarter way of doing things. But knowing AEW, they do 10 minutes and then Starks will cheat and win or whatever. So Nyla Rose, Vicky Guerrero versus Britt Baker and Rebel. I didn't watch this match. I did hear that both Britt Baker and Rebel got hurt in this match. I saw the clip of Nyla Rose coming off the top of the rope with a knee to Britt Baker's neck, and Britt Baker had to be rolled out of the ring. I also saw Rebel on getting helped from the ring, and her ankle looked to be twisted in some way. I know she just got off crutches, so it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. If this company wasn't run by the son of a billionaire, I don't see how he would have gotten away with all these years of injuries, especially in that division. That division is so prone to injury. It seems like every time two people from that division get into it, somebody gets hurt. I mean, I know NXT, not much better when it comes to, but NXT is a known training facility. Sometimes people are not up to par when they get the shots and they botch things. But here in AEW, people are supposed to be professionals. They're being used in top spots, and they're constantly hurting other people. Constantly. And it's not just Nyla Rose. It's also Chris Statlander, too. And 2 weeks straight. I don't know. I don't know if Bunny was really hurt, because I know she's wrestling again, so she might not be down too bad. But I hope Rebel is okay. I hope it's not too bad. I hope Britt Baker is okay. They better hope Britt Baker is okay. Because if she's not, that division is really going to be in trouble. Really going to be in trouble. But let me know what you guys think about WWE Dynamite June 30th, 2021 in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel via Subscribe Star. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session where you got an affection for no progression, regression.